Welcome to Billy Review Stuff, where I review stuff. Today I'm looking at the not S.H.Monsterarts MechaGodzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong 2021. As you can tell from the packaging, it had a rough trip from China. And also you can tell from the packaging just how much it's almost like the actual packaging, but then it's just like, let's let's mess with the font a little bit. Let's mess with the positioning. It still has the actual photos from the box on the back of the actual Mecha Godzilla, but as you can tell, the box has been kicked to shit. This thing had a rough ride, but let's go ahead and get him out of the box and see what this bootleg has to offer. As I wait for Haya to at some point announce a Mechagodzilla, I bit on the bootleg that's on AliExpress. I think this one at the time was $23 shipped. I think there's also a couple of other listings now that have where it's sub $22 even. So, I mean, if you're interested in it, let's see if it's actually worth picking up just on the merit of being 20 something bucks, and you can fiddle around with it. So let's see what's going on here. Ooh, instructions. I'm sure these are accurate. And I mean, he's in the package. He's there. We got a little robot hands, and we got a little Mecha Godzilla here. First impressions. I think he's going to need a little bit of heat and a little bit of work. But so far, he's not falling apart. He doesn't seem super loose. Let me see. I think I can pop his tail off here. Never mind. I'm just leave it there. He doesn't seem super crazy loose. I think he's pretty sturdy for $23. I'm gonna fiddle around with him and get back to y'all in just a second. So I got him out of the box. I messed around with him some. I had to heat him up a little bit because on his right, I guess you say butterfly joint right here, it had where it was stuck. I had to heat up this foot and pull it out and push it back in. It had where it wasn't seated right on the joint. Another thing I noticed messing with him, the first set of hands that were on him had where they were glued on there because the way the hands are supposed to work, just focus in here, the way these hands are supposed to work are, at least in the original, where these pop off and they pop back on. It does work on this version because this is the kind of closed hand. The other one has where these are going a little bit further, back and forth. The ones on him had where they were glued on, but I popped them off. It wasn't very strong glue holding it on there, so it wasn't a big issue messing with. Another thing I've noticed, it's obviously it's a bootleg and everything, but it still goes through a tooling process and stuff like that. Not every detail has where it's like very sharp and crisp, obviously, because it's a bootleg. But it does have where it's well enough. Like the X's through here have where they're like even from here visible. But in this tooling process, stuff was dumbed down. Like the front part of his leg right here no longer pops forward. This just has where it is one solid piece. On the back of his heel spur, these heel spurs have where they're permanently attached now. Also, he still has the two pistons here, but on the little, I guess you'd call it the hip armor here, there was a fake piston on the actual version that just kind of went there. That's just not there anywhere. Also, with how this is put together, his hips go into the torso. Torso's one big solid piece, go in there. I guess to like, maybe it was just like a batch was done wrong or no one cared. This spine through the back here has where it's a separate piece that's glued in. And this torso seems like it's supposed to go onto the pelvis first and gets a screw in there. And this is glued on there. that wasn't done. So like my pelvis at first, before I heated it up and straightened it out, was seated crooked. Again, something's just a little easy fix for something that only cost $23. And other than that, it works. It's a figure. It doesn't feel like it's going to fall apart. Let me take him off this stand and let's get him closer here, because like let's take a look here. So like I said, like the detail on him is there. It just has where he's not painted. He's in a silver plastic, but it's not painted. It's just there. Another two things that were dumbed down. These originally opened. These no longer have where they open. They're just flat in one mold. And also the rocket pods on his stomach are now just part of the mold and do not open. Other than that, it's MechaGodzilla. You take a close look at his face. Part of it, like I think with paint, it wouldn't look too bad. I think it's got a lot of detail. His jaw is a little off, but I think it's not too bad for 20 something bucks. I will pop this guy apart and add some paint, maybe like some gunmetal paint to him. Just dry brush it on there, just see how it looks. All of his spines have where they don't have like a red. It's like a weird amber highlight on them. But I mean, like it's semi-consistent all the way down. Uh, let's move on to the articulation next. Articulation on KO MechaGodzilla. He has a ball joint at the base of the neck. Originally, this was two parts, I believe. So it's another thing that was fused together for simplification. He has a ball joint at the top of the head. He can look, so far this way, so far that way, up, down. He has an articulated jaw. It's a little off looking, but also his ball joint in the neck has where it's going this way a little bit. Another thing that I need to fix, he has hinges on his shoulder pads, and if your arms are lined up right, they can lift up. He has twists at the shoulders. He has butterfly joints that want to seize up a little bit, but they're there. They move. Hinges at the shoulders there to go with the twists. He doesn't have a bicep twist. He has a elbow twist to go all the way around. Hinges at the elbow. So far forward, so far back. He has ball joint at the hand, but the way it's shaped, it doesn't rock too much. And also those pop off because, they're supposed to be removable. But it can twist all the way around, and I can pop it off again. That's lovely. That's lovely. There's another little point if you want to pick on that. Solid torso, solid AF. He has where you can only go so far with the pistons in the legs when you're messing with those. But they have where they hinge out so far. They hinge in so far. You can move them back. You can move them forward so far. You can move them back a little bit further. Just pay attention to the little pistons so they don't pop out. His knees, they go forward pretty well. They go back, a little bit, but it does have where it's technically a double hinge. He has a hinge at the foot for forward and back. He has the rocker as well. So you can get him in some poses thanks to the posability of his feet there. His tail is just straight up like good. It can pose all the way around there. It's ball jointy as hell. It's great. The tip of his tail has where it could have like a little bit more detail. It ends right here. I think that's also how the actual one ends. But I need to like heat this up and straighten it because it's a harder plastic. I might be able to do something with that. Overall, I think the articulation decent on this $20 figure. Not bad to me. Let me go ahead and do some comparisons next. Here's bootleg MechaGodzilla with S.H.Monsterarts Hedorah, Hayatoy's Skullcrawler, Hayatoy's King Kong from Godzilla vs. Kong, and Hayatoy's Godzilla from Godzilla vs. Kong. And as you see, they're roughly the same size. He might be just a little bit chunkier, at least in size a little bit, but like, oh shoot, they kind of weigh the same too. if this was a point that you were looking for, uh, I think he goes well with the Hayatoys Godzilla. Um, I don't think he's properly in scale by movie stuff, but I think he, I think he works out there. So if you need like a budget Mecha Godzilla right now, just to have where you have one to go in your display, I think this Mecha Godzilla might be for you. Do I think you need to pick up bootleg KO S.H.Monsterarts MechaGodzilla? I think if you don't have MechaGodzilla already and you don't want to pay $140 and you can, boil water or pop things apart or can paint something a little bit if you want to, and you're tired of waiting for Haya Toys to go ahead and make one, I think you should pick up this Mecha Godzilla. It's great for display. It's a good stand-in, and I mean, like, for the three figures here, let's see, it's like what, like 50 or 60 for Godzilla and Kong, and then another 20 something for Mecha Godzilla here. I have all these figures for the price of like one S.H.Monsterarts Mecha Godzilla, roughly, give or take. It's a cool figure, looks fun. But tell me what you think down below in the comments. Do you like bootlegs? Are you morally against bootlegs? Are you okay with something that has where it's not exactly the same thing, but it's, it's a good stand-in, you know? Do you like Mechagodzilla? Are you excited for a Haya Toys one that still has not been announced and there's no hint of yet, but I still believe? Let me know down in the comments. This has been Billy Beige. I'll see you in the next video.